Hello, dear friends. Reality sometimes trumps fiction, and humor is the best weapon. Opinion piece. Surrealist Invasion. The Awakening of the Kraken. Black and surreal humor. Collective panic fails, but they don't give up. The dam begins to break. Let's start. Space invasion is a common feature of science fiction stories and films, in which non-terrestrial life forms invade Earth to exterminate and supplant human life, enslave it, harvest people for food, steal resources, or destroy the planet altogether. This is the narrative that some have tried to push with the recent appearance and shooting down of humankind or human, all too human, balance, as Nietzsche would say, but it hasn't worked. The alien invasion can be seen as a science fiction subgenre of invasion literature, expanded by H.G. Wells' novel The War of the Worlds. The War of the Worlds. Experts consider the prospect of an external military invasion of Earth to be highly unlikely due to the enormous cost in time and resources, although others say we have already been invaded for thousands of years. Surrealism. This looks like a recreation of the black and surreal humor of the 1996 film Mars Attacks, with ugly badass Martians unleashing all the cynicism and incredulity of the 90s, mocking the fears of independent days. It feels more like a comedy film than an horror movie. When Martians surround Earth with a giant fleet of flying saucers, the US president, played by Jack Nicholson, addresses the world about the historic event. Scientific advisors organized the first meeting with the Martians in Pahrump, Nevada. A universal translator is used to decipher the message from the Martians, who say they come in peace. But when a hippie releases a dove as a symbol of peace, the Martians shoot it down and then massacre most of the assembled crowd. At the end, it is discovered that the Martians' brains explode when they hear the song Indian Love Call by Slim Whiteman, and they broadcast the song on the radio to wipe out the Martians. The military discovers this technique and begins broadcasting the song around the world, killing most of the invaders and causing the few survivors to flee Earth. The Kraken. The Kraken Awakens is an apocalyptic science fiction novel by John Wyndham, originally published by Michael Joseph in the UK in 1953. The title is a reference to Alfred Tennyson's sonnet The Kraken. In the first phase, objects from outer space fall into the oceans. Mike and Phillips happen to see 5 of the fireballs falling into the sea. From the ship, they are sailing on their honeymoon. Eventually, intelligence is discovered in the distribution of the objects' landing points, always in the depths of the ocean, never on land. It is speculated that the invaders come from a gas giant and therefore can only survive under extreme pressure conditions in the deepest part of the oceans and do not need dry land. Bockett theorizes that the two species could coexist, barely aware of each other's presence. However, humankind feels threatened by this new phenomenon. A British gunship is sent to investigate and is destroyed by the invaders with the loss of 2 lives. The British government responds by exploding a nuclear device at the same location, but the invaders' technology proves formidable and the attack ends in disaster. Phase 2 of the war begins when ships around the world begin to be attacked by unknown weapons and quickly sink, wreaking havoc on the world economy. Soon after, the invaders also begin to harvest land, sending in biological sea tanks, which capture humankind from coastal settlements. In the final phase, the invaders begin to melt the polar ice caps, causing sea levels to rise. London and other ports are flooded, causing widespread social and political collapse. Ultimately, scientists in Japan develop an underwater ultrasonic weapon that kills the invaders. The population is reduced to between 1/5 and 1/8 of its pre-invasion level, and the West's climate has changed significantly, with water levels 40 meters higher than before. In the end, humankind has no clear idea of what their opponents were like. The most they have is some protoplasm that floated to the surface of the sea after the ultrasound weapon was used. The book aims to show that an invasion of Earth could take a very different form to that of the War of the Worlds. First Contact. First Contact is a common science fiction theme about the first encounter between humankind and any intelligent species, given that they are from different planets. The theme allows writers to explore themes such as xenophobia, anthropology, and linguistics. The potential changes from contact could vary greatly in magnitude and type, depending on the level of technological advancement of the external civilization, the degree of benevolence or malevolence, and the level of mutual understanding between it and humankind. The medium through which humankind is contacted, whether electromagnetic radiation, direct physical interaction, space artifact or otherwise, can also influence the results of contact. The implications of contact, particularly with a technologically superior civilization, have often been compared to the encounter between two very different humankind cultures on Earth, a historical precedent being the discovery of America, which was more of a run-in. Such encounters lead to the destruction of the civilization receiving the contact. Visitors from the stars. Some believe that the arrival of civilizations, technology, and spirituality from other worlds will enable humankind to overcome current ecological, spiritual, and social problems. It is said that problems such as hatred, war, intolerance, poverty, etc. could be solved through the use of superior technology and spiritual abilities. Ancient astronauts refers to a hypothesis that intelligent beings visited us and made contact with humans in ancient prehistoric times. Proponents suggest that this contact influenced the development of modern cultures, technologies, relations, and humankind's biology. A common position is that the deities of most, if not all, religions would be of extraterrestrial origin, and that the advanced technologies brought to Earth by ancient astronauts were interpreted as evidence of divinity by the visitors. Failure. The Storm Rider opined that the fake alien invasion was a failure, and that the alternative media can take full credit for reporting the truth. John Osabin said that this is why the attacks are intensifying, because the devil is pushing back like a wounded animal. They are upset because they have lost control of the investigative mechanisms, because they have now begun investigations in earnest. The Storm Rider believes that they have turned the shooting down of the balloons into a war agenda, and that they are organizing even more balloons to induce fear in the people and then obtain consent for war. In the 70s, the powers agreed not to use seismic weapons in wars, but this agreement has been broken. The walls are closing, so they will lose. They are not giving up because they know they have lost. If they can cause harm by going out, that is what the worshippers of Baal or Moloch will do. After being defeated in War II, the Nazis burnt every city they could in Europe, or on their way out, Breaking news. Meteorologists announced the arrival of a minor solar storm today, Monday 20th February. New study finds electric vehicles use more energy than petrol cars. India's Chancellor calls George Soros a rich, dogmatic and dangerous old man, in quotes. 18-inch homemade bomb found on Pennsylvania train track. Resident skin rashes after train derailment in East Palestine. Catholic bishop appointed by Pope Francis in 2015 is shot dead in Los Angeles. Rumors of war. It is revealed that the airstrike on Damascus was carried out by 4 Israeli F-16 fighter jets. Demonstration in Washington against arms shipments to Ukraine. They allege that the Ukrainian crisis was instigated by a coup d'état in 2014 against their democratically elected government. Nervousness in Munich. An analysis reveals that the West's doubt about Ukraine. China is not interested in prolonging or widening the crisis in Ukraine and wants negotiations. A group of hackers from Europe and North America targeting China is detected. Urgent mediation for peace between Russia and NATO every 4 hours. On 23rd February, a major Russian offensive would begin, leading to the capture of the most of Ukraine except the western part. Russia's growing tanker fleet is an international problem, writes Bloomberg. Spain creates WMD Non-Proliferation Initiative. Anomaly in Spain. The State Meteorological Agency warns that a major anomaly is coming and is making itself felt these days. Temperatures are almost spring-like in a large part of the country. The winter seems to have passed unnoticed and has lasted a few weeks with temperatures below normal. These days the temperature has risen again and has reached values above what would be normal for this time of year. Spring is starting early, ahead of a summer that could once again be a record summer. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.